if you invest the time and the focus and really invest in what you want to say, what you want to find. It's not very glamorous, it's not very modern in that sense. And I think that if you invest the time, you get the payback.
What's going on, analysts? Welcome to another episode of the All About Analysis YouTube channel, European edition. Let's get started. Our guest today is Kelly Pereira, a successful practitioner and respected thought leader in the intelligence analysis and digital investigations community. Utilising advanced OSINT, SOCMINT, GeoINT, IMINT and HUMINT methodologies, Kelly is respected for her advanced threat monitoring and targeted identification, skills that she now teaches to others. Kelly started her career in 2001 as a crime and intelligence analyst in Swansea for South Wales Police UK, supporting divisional officers in both high-volume local crime, whilst also providing analytical expertise to murder casework. In 2005, Kelly transitioned to a role in the Regional Intelligence Unit, responsible for the investigation of serious and organised crime in Wales and facilitating the exchange of tactical intelligence across the 4 Welsh police forces. During this time, she worked on the National Organised Crime Group Mapping Project, liaising with the British Home Office, and she authored regional strategic assessments, earning her 2 Chief Constable commendations. In 2011, Kelly accepted an offer to relocate to the Netherlands, where she investigated digital content piracy and brand infringements for the clients of digital encryption security company Irdeto. By 2015, she was appointed Intelligence Manager of Cyber Services to a growing team of international researchers and analysts, stretching from Colorado in the US to Beijing in China. In 2020, Kelly accepted a role as a threat intelligence analyst for international telecommunications company Liberty Global. Bringing her advanced OSINT and HUMINT skills to the threat and vulnerability management team, this position has also created the perfect environment for Kelly to understand more of the technical aspects of cybercriminality, whilst also developing skills in Linux and Python. Now, Kelly is a big advocate for intelligence analysts and formal investigative disciplines, and remains available for professional mentoring, providing advice and coaching for those already in the profession or those looking to enter it. In her spare time, when it's not a pandemic, Kelly enjoys traveling, including road tripping around the US and hiking the national parks. She's also an avid music fan and concert attendee. However, in lockdown times, her interests have been limited to complex Lego building projects and assisting with work on her vintage 1954 Citroen. So thank you so much for joining us today, Kelly. I'm really delighted you could join us today, and welcome to the channel.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, you're very welcome indeed. So firstly, I'd like to say congratulations on your new role for Liberty Global. It sounds fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about what your role entails?
Yeah, so this is a very modern OSINT approach to things. It's I was conscious that based on my previous experience that there were gaps in my expertise. Although we were all trained in open source investigations, I was previously regularly handing over my workload to security analysts, to engineers, and this was something that I really wanted to explore. So I accepted the opportunity to take on a role as a threat intelligence analyst. So this is predominantly cyber threat intelligence, and whilst I bring my OSINT knowledge, existing long-term expertise to the forum, this is something that I was able to meet like with like for. So I bring my OSINT experience of infiltrating communities, understanding techniques and processes, and I'm receiving expertise from others and training in technical matters and how these processes are taking place.
So it sounds like quite a steep learning curve.
It was very much a shock to the system. It was totally, and there were multiple opportunities, occasions where I said to myself, am I doing the right thing? This is completely far removed. Contacts were saying, oh, you've changed your career. But this is something that I went into open-eyed, very much aware of, that I met them in the middle. This was something that my expertise of OSINT and the sharp ability to navigate open sources, I brought that to them, in parallel to advising other people on sort of what was appropriate for their navigation of the internet. So I advise colleagues in the company on how to appropriately understand how their digital footprint is present, how they can use the internet without compromising their identities. But then I am receiving training in networking, threat actors, and really developing my ability to, my expertise to understand how threat actors are acting, so that I can meet them like for like.
Sounds super exciting. But this wasn't your first role, was it, in the Netherlands? You previously worked for Adecco. How did you find the sort of the transition from law enforcement in Swansea to the work that you're doing in the Netherlands in the private sector?
Yeah, so I am very lucky in that I posted my CV online. I was looking for a new opportunity. I was happy to relocate. I posted, and somebody approached me, and I was fortunate enough to be approached. We're happy to see you're willing to relocate. How do you fancy an opportunity in the Netherlands?
Wow.
So I was very fortunate in that sense. And this was on the basis of bringing my core skills to a new corporate environment in digital piracy. So my previous role involved anti-piracy investigations. It was in digital encryption. So the company involved security protective technology for TV broadcasts, movie studios, sports rights holders, and it's anti-piracy work in that sense. And I would work on their behalf for their customers to protect the broadcast streams for them. And this was something that I brought, and I said to my manager at the time, you know, do I need to bring anything to it? And they recognized my core skills from law enforcement. And I think that what's valued in that sense, and what my manager at that time recognized, was the really strict discipline of law enforcement investigations, the training, the investment that law enforcement invest in their staff. And that was a real asset, an investment of skills and knowledge and legislation. And I think this is something that people see when they're struggling to transition from public service to corporate life. This is highly valued. And from when I transitioned to a manager, this is really important. You look for people to come from a law enforcement background. So I know that people struggle with that transition, but don't be disheartened, it's valued. And the right people will recognize that importance and that quality of experience. So yeah, it was something that was recognized in me, and that I really hope to, you know, see in others and bring them into the corporate life if that's a journey that they want to take.
I think that's a really valuable message, because I think a lot of people see that their careers are sort of confined, if you like, within the law enforcement environment, but there are actually so many more opportunities out there as well. And like you say, organisations are recognising those skills and valuing those skills. So no, that's fantastic. It's a really powerful message. Thank you, Kelly.
Important, yeah. Really so much so. And I don't want people to be disheartened by that transition as if there's a wall there, because the right people will see it as an asset. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Have
Thank
faith.
you. Thank you. Now, obviously, open source intelligence, or OSINT, is evidently very fundamental to your role. So what are your thoughts on the value of OSINT as a source of information, both for investigations within and outside of law enforcement?
Yeah, so open source is publicly available. That's by its very definition. It's a publicly available resource, but we need to understand that what's available to us is available to everyone. So it's cheap and cheerful, as we say in Britain. It's really widely available, but we need to understand that as professionals, we need to assess the value of it, the accuracy of it, and that it's we can rely upon it. So what I would say is that utilize it, but make sure that it has multiple other sources to back it up. You can verify it, you'll stand by it, because only a few days ago I was saying to somebody, you have to have professional, as a professional, you need to stand by it and have that accountability with it. You know, imagine in a further down the line, you're standing up in court and you had to justify that this is your data, this is your you have placed your investment in it and that it's worth other people investing in it too. So it's a case of take it, assess it, and this all comes back to the intelligence cycle, which is dear to my heart. It's a real core aspect of intelligence analysis, and many people can Google, many people can draw on this information through Facebook and Google and DuckDuckGo if you're very professional, but you need to really invest in it and make sure that it's verified. It's simple terms. So I'm a big fan of it, but in the right circumstances, with the right mindset and the right processes. So yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, OSINT's indeed very close to my heart, and I also know from my own first-hand experience that it comes with a number of challenges and risks. So, what challenges do you experience using OSINT, and how do you overcome them?
Oh, there's many. I mean, you know, as an English female, there's things like language barriers. You want to understand the current threats, of which I'm always aware, but more so my current role, North Korea, Russia, you know, I don't have any understanding of you know, the language. I need translations. So I would encourage people to understand things such as translation tools. Google Translate will get you so far. There's other tooling, but I would encourage people to utilize experts. If you can have colleagues or contacts who you can call upon to accurately translate meanings, that's great. But there's things such as, you know, what, you know, as we've said already, the accuracy of data, and more so in recent times, we've seen the targets transition from open sources such as Facebook, Twitter, and they're moving through to closed sources. They're going through to Telegram, even Facebook Messenger. They're going over to the closed sources. So that brings me on to diversifying your skills into a human. So, you know, do you have the ability to infiltrate chat groups? Understand how to navigate conversations. Do you present yourself as a professional, as somebody who's more naive? Do you skills? So it all comes back to educating yourself on who you're investigating, what, you know, their operations are, and meeting like for like.
Yeah, absolutely, and understanding that OSINT can only go so far. You know, there's definitely sort of like you said, there's earlier on talking about the intelligence cycle. It's about combining different sources of intelligence as well. So yeah, no, that's ideal. Thank you. Now, I've heard a rumor that you might be the OSINT matriarch on Twitter. Can you confirm? Is that true?
Well, exclusive, yeah. So yes, I can confirm. I'm what do you call it, at OSINT matriarch on Twitter. It was an opportunity for me to, without any present myself with any background, to be more present core skills, core messaging as to what is appropriate for OSINT investigation. So you're willing to follow me? Yeah, please do. I'm happy for you to follow me. And what it is it's a core discipline, and what I want to present is somebody, an anonymous figure, who is willing to share core disciplines, the appropriate methodology, things I see other people presenting, tooling. So I don't share speculation, rumors, things like that. Is purely good things that I would want a professional, disciplined intelligence analysis to know, and to, an anonymous mentorship. Put it that way. So if I see good messaging, good discipline, I want people to know about it. So yeah, no judgment.
Well, I'm sure you'll get a lot more followers now, because I think, yeah, like you said about those skills and the rigorousness behind the training and everything that people have and their understanding, I think are valued. in a lot of different organisations, both in public and private sectors. So yeah, no, I'm sure your follower base will hopefully grow after this interview.
Great. And I mean, what I want to bring is also not just the core intelligence analysis discipline, but sort of peripheral messaging that, you know, people who wouldn't necessarily be in information security or cybersecurity, things that they might want to be aware of that are coming up. So it's got some peripheral benefits to it.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you, Kelly. Now, I can't interview you today and not ask you this. So what is your favourite OSINT tool or technique?
Well, I struggle with this because I'm very much a Puritan. I'm very much part of the manual searches. I'm very much out there for the legwork. If you invest, you know, the time and the focus, and really invest in what you want to say, what you want to find. So it's not very glamorous, it's not very modern in that sense, but I'm very much a manual investigative analyst, and I think that if you invest the time, you get the payback. That said, I'm a big fan of I2, you know, for more graphical representation, but also to understand and to you know, graphically represent my thinking for my note taking, but also for demonstrating in court. Moving ahead, I have to modernize, and I'm now training in Python, so I understand how people like Jake Krebs, he's great, and I recently shared a webinar with him. He does Tuesday releases of OSINT tools, so I'm trying to keep up with him. He's a great guy to know, and I encourage you to follow him on social media. Yeah, I recognize there are gaps in my knowledge, so what I want to do is train in Python to automate some of the processes, to understand how that brings into the traditional discipline, old-fashioned methods of OSINT practices. So that's a big part of what I'm sort of evolving into, and that's I'll give you a heads up, is something that I'm actually collaborating with a peer in the community. We're looking to investigate e-commerce platforms for illicit wildlife trading products. So we're using OSINT for good, and this is something that is identifying criminality that's, you know, conservationists don't necessarily have the funding to track. So it's using these investigative skills and processes, the modern side of addressing criminality, to that we're bringing in collaboratively. So it has all these opportunities. So I really encourage people to utilize their skills in peripheral opportunities.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you. And just so lastly, if you could give one piece of advice to analysts who are considering a career in crime analysis, what would you say?
Okay, so I have different tones. There's two sort of approaches to this. I would say professionally, throw yourself out there, embrace opportunities to really explore different techniques, representations, training opportunities. Just really embrace everything that you can do to really widen your vision of what's out there. Skills, current activity, current affairs, politics, really bring it in so that you can broaden your vision of what's a threat, what's going to impact you. But also as an analyst, make sure that you embrace your well-being. And I know this is a big thing, particularly in lockdown. Make sure that you take care of yourself, make sure of your family health. I say to people that you know, without your family and without your health, you have nothing. So be strong in that sense, and then you can deliver well to people and your employer, that you can give the best possible service. So it's a two-part thing: invest in yourself educationally, knowledge-wise, but also health-wise.
Some really great advice there. Thank you very much, Kelly. I've really enjoyed speaking to you today. Thank you so much again for spending time with us today and for sharing your insight and your clear passion for the crime analysis profession.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it, and I wish everyone health and success moving ahead.
So that's Kelly Pereira, intelligence specialist, advocate for core analysis skills, professional coach and mentor, and friend of IACA. If you've enjoyed this video, smash the like, click the subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. Look forward to seeing you next time.